rut when it comes to dinner time and they just don't know what to make. I'm Chef Des, corporate chef of bcegg.com, and bcegg.com is here to help. And one of the recipes on their website I'm going to demonstrate for you today is Khachapuri. Khachapuri, however you say it. It's a egg and cheese filled bread originated from the Republic of Georgia. That's a little tiny country just south of Russia and about northeast of Turkey. But let me show you how it's done. We're going to make the dough first, and remember the full recipe and all the measurements, in case I forget to tell you, are at bcegg.com. You got it, so check it out. Let's go with the dough first. So in my stand mixer, I have the flour. Okay, we're just using regular all-purpose flour. Okay, we're going to make the dough. To that, 1/4 teaspoon of yeast, not very much, a couple teaspoons of salt, and we're just going to stir that together, and then add the water all the way in, all at once. Get our dough hook, and we're just going to mix that together until it's fully combined. And you'll see when that happens, because it'll come off the side of the bowl. So you don't need to touch it at all. We're almost there. We have dough. Clean off your dough hook. Then I want you to either take some plastic wrap, cover this, and let this sit for at least an hour, but better overnight, until it rises and about double in volume. I like to put it in a container with a lid. Saves on the plastic wrap. You don't have to fuss with it. Put the lid on it, let it set. All right, now that we have our bread dough, you can see that it's risen quite a bit. So I'm just gonna dust my hand with a little bit of flour on the counter. And we're going to extract the dough onto the counter. And you're gonna wanna knead this until it's no longer sticky, and that you can form it into a round ball, and then we're gonna cut it into quarters. You may have to add a bit more flour if it's too wet. I'm gonna take my bench scraper. You can use a knife as well if you want. Just be careful when cutting on your countertop. We're just gonna divide this into 4 portions. Really nice looking dough. And we're going to want to take these portions and we're going to flatten them out into about 8-inch rounds, okay? Now before we do that, we're going to want to make sure that we have our oven preheated at 500 degrees. If you want to use a pizza stone, you can do that. Insert the pizza stone ahead of time so it gets nice and hot. And then if you're using a pizza stone, we will roll these out on parchment paper on a pizza peel so you can slide it onto the stone. Alternatively, you can use a baking sheet, and that's what we're going to use today. Coat that baking sheet with some flour. You can use parchment too if you want. And then I want to take the doughs and flatten them out. You want to have about an 8-inch round. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you find it's difficult to roll them out by hand, just get a rolling pin and let that assist you. And again, if you need some more flour, there we go. Now, if you have smaller baking sheets, you may have to break it out 2 and 2 on each one to make sure your oven's on convection. The next thing we want to do, as they're in the oven, we're going to take a little bit of balsamic vinegar, pour it in a pan, 1/2 cup. You want to simmer that over medium heat until it gets nice and syrupy, about 7 to 10 minutes. Then just bang off the heat, and as it sits there in the warm pan, it's still going to reduce a bit more. And that's something we're going to drizzle over the top at the very end. To prepare our doughs, we're going to do about a tablespoon of olive oil on each dough, a little bit of garlic. And you want to try and leave with your fillings about 1/2 inch to 1 inch border around the edges. And then you want to do some fresh spinach. This will cook down, don't worry. Prosciutto, this is about 3 slices total. Remember, they're really thin. We're just going to distribute that over the spinach. Now the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of caramelized onions. If you don't know how to make caramelized onions, it's really easy. Thinly slice your onions, put it in a pan, low heat, don't go too high because you'll burn them, low heat, a little bit of salt to get the juices flowing in the onions, And it's going to take about a half hour, 35 minutes, low heat, stirring them occasionally. Stir them about every 5 minutes. And you'll see they will just slowly caramelize and bring out the natural sugars of the onions. I'm going to cheat on mine. I have some red onion marmalade that I made just the other day, so I'm going to use this on mine. We'll distribute all the red onions. Then some brie cheese. Distribute the brie, all cubed up. Again, all the measurements are on bcegg.com. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Now you're going to want to pinch up the sides, the opposite sides like this, to make a boat, okay? What I like to do is just take this, all the sides, and bring it over like so. Just manipulate it a little bit so it basically resembles a boat. Let's do the other ones. Now what you're going to want to do is try and create a little well where we're going to pour the egg. And you want them to look rustic. Don't fuss with them too much, all right? About 4 minutes, okay? So really hot oven, 500 degrees. We're going to want to get the eggs ready while the bread is in the oven. And what I do, just to make it easier, I put them singly in each cup. And that'll make it easier to pour in each of the 4 breads. Okay, let's pull these out. Now that they're about half cooked, and you can even adjust the fillings now more to make that well for your egg. And we're going to add some thinly sliced avocado. Again, don't fuss with it too much. You want to just get it back in the oven as fast as you can. However you want to do this is totally fine. Remember, this is rustic Georgian bread filled with egg and cheese. Still at 500 degrees, in there for another 5 minutes. Wow, they look fantastic. Beautiful. Now, a little Chef Des side note for you. The recipe says to put the avocado on now at the end. I wanted it cooked a little bit, so I put it on with the eggs. It's really up to you. Remember that balsamic vinegar that we reduced down to a syrup? Now's the time to do some of that. Wow, what a presentation that makes. Just keep pouring it till it's gone. A little bit of finishing salt, so some nice flake salt, Himalayan salt, sea salt, whatever you want to do. And if you want, a little bit of red pepper. I know my son likes this, so we'll put that on his. And there you have it. You have a khachapuri. Check it out on bcegg.com for this and a whole bunch of other great recipes that are going to make your dinners, lunches, and breakfasts really exciting. Where are you getting your protein from?